So looking forward to this next presentation. I approached Susan a couple years ago about doing this. She couldn't do it last year because she was busy doing club testing for Golf Digest magazine. She actually did this for us 4 years ago, I think, when we were outside at the other end of the range here. So we have 3 women that are going to talk about golf instruction from women's perspective, which certainly for us men is much needed. I'm going to just give a little bit of biographical information about all of them. I'm not going to give everything about Susan because hers is 8 pages long, and I went over all the awards and recognitions that she won. It would take up most of the time of their presentation. But she's the owner of Carlsbad Golf Center since 2003, 21-year PGA Class A professional, and 10-year LPGA Life Member professional. She's received numerous awards, including the 2011 Southern California PGA Golf Professional of the Year, 2011 PGA of America Merchandiser of the Year for public facilities, 2010 Callaway Golf Professional of the Year, 2005 National and Western LPGA Teaching Club Professional, Golf Professional of the Year, 1997 Golf for Women Magazine Top 50 Instructor, 2007 SCPGA Club Fitter of the Year, 2011 Pin Golf Company National Club Fitter of the Year, to name a few. Beyond that, Susan serves on our section board. She serves on a couple committees, her growth of the game initiatives, and just her commitment to making things better. She's clearly one of the brightest people in our industry, but she's one of the most committed people in our industry, and certainly within Southern California PGA. It's just a pleasure, and I'm proud to serve with her on our section board, and I'm proud to have her involved, and she does so much for so many. She's brought a couple friends with her this morning. Juliet Vaughn. Juliet is an LPGA Class A member, a full-time teaching professional at the Grand Del Mar Resort. She played professionally, and she has had the opportunity to work with some incredible instructors, including Butch Harmon. Billy will be here this afternoon, and John Anselmo, to name a few. She teaches nationally for LPGA clinics for women, and we welcome certainly Juliet with us. Lori Brock is an LPGA Class A teaching professional and full-time instructor at the Stadium Golf Center, the aforementioned Stadium Golf Center by Kenny. She was also an LPGA Tour player from 85 to 87 and has worked under David Ledbetter, Mike Adams, and Bill Moretti. She held the position of the head women's golf coach at the University of Tennessee for 5 years. She is Golf Digest Top Female 50 Instructors in 2012, Golf for Women Magazine Top 50 National Instructor, and we welcome also Lori Brock. So ladies, we're looking very much forward to this. I'll turn it over to Susan. Thank you.
Well, it's great to be back. Wow, I'm exhausted just listening to that presentation. So 3 of us got together, and bless Bill for inviting us, because he never knows where this is going to go, what we're going to say for that matter. So I'm going to apologize in advance. I'll probably cuss too much. But that's the way it is. I've kind of just, at this point in my career, just say it like it is. And there's many things in this business I absolutely love, and many things that still frustrate the hell out of me. And I think collectively, as this group gets together, we're going to get better and better, and we're going to solve some of our issues in this industry. So I have a star-studded cast here with me. Friends of mine in the industry, and have been doing this for 30 years. And again, I'm in awe of them and what they do every day, as well as I am with you and what all you do every day, and standing out there and teaching and running these businesses. It's amazing and pretty much thankless. And I see how much you help people and inspire them. And every day I get up just remembering that we get to do that every day. And if I lose sight of that, I'm going to be done, because really that's still what gets me up every day, is to see those smiling faces and happy people. They do truly come to us to have fun and have a great time, and I hope every day I can deliver that at my golf center, and I know most of you do that as well. What I loved about having Juliet and Lori, they have very different backgrounds of why they're here today, and what inspired them to be in the golf business. And one of the great things about both these guys is they've had amazing instructors and coaches. And I want them to definitely share their stories about their experiences there. That really fascinated me. We've been talking now the last 2 days about 6 hours. And I honestly, I titled this hour, but I really still don't know to this point where it's going to go or what's going to happen. So I apologize for that. I really just don't. But I'm going to get on with it and let them speak a little bit. So I mentioned that I love this business, but I'm also really still frustrated with some of it. One of the studies Stina Sternberg did over the last year or two was the female factor and lessons and women in the game. And, we're still stuck at that 40% of new golfers are women. We love that statistic. That's great for our businesses, all these women and juniors, but we're not keeping them. So I still feel like here they are, they're eager, they're ready, and then it's almost like we throw them in the deep end of the pool at some point and say, good luck, hope you can swim, and 70% of them drown. So, it just kills me to still feel this way after 20 years of getting here and saying how excited I am about, the people we teach, and it's true for, you can say women are different, men are different, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but in the end, we're all golfers, we're all golf professionals, male, female, we're all trying to do about the same thing. Are there some differences? Absolutely, but all in all, I just hope we're all here today for one solid goal, and that's to help people be better, no matter if they're female or male. But back to where I was going on the women's side, I want you to know that we have about 20% still of the golfers are women, so 20% not bad. Most of the other great countries out there like Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands, they're almost 39%, almost up to 40%. South Korea, almost up to 40% female golfers. I mean, that is just amazing. South Korea, wow. That's impressive. And they've had some great female tour players, a lot of inspiration there, and the governments are really behind golf in those countries. A lot of gender equity in a lot of the other countries that do really well in golf. But we rival ice hockey, paintball, and mixed martial arts at 20%. Paintball. That's my frustration. We can't beat paintball, really? I know tennis and bowling, they're almost 48%. Come on, we can rival those two. We have to, and we can get there. This room, if we get our brains together and figure out ways to change some things and change our culture, this room, this group of PGA professionals in Southern Cal can do a lot to change that. And that's a little bit of what I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to let these guys take over and talk a little more about their stories. But, we talk about women being, is it social, is it a sport? Well, it's both to us. I play for fun. I don't even keep score anymore, I'm going to be honest. I quit doing that a long time ago. It was way too, it crushed me. I was never as good as I was when I was, 20 years old, and so I quit keeping score. Man, is it fun now. I just want to hit the crap out of the ball. I'm one of those. I don't even care where it goes anymore. I just want to see it go somewhere. And we all play for different reasons. Women, you can say we play it to have fun and that, but there's also a bunch of us out there that are super competitive, and the women in our organization, we're up to over 100 female professionals now, and that is huge. We've grown it from 80 to over 100 in the last couple of years. That's amazing, and we're heading in the right direction. But a lot of us, we do want to play for blood and get out there and be competitive again and beat each other up. So we can't put us all in a social box, and we can't put us all in a competitive box. So what I'm saying is, if you still can't figure out what women want, good, you're on the right track. Okay? Don't even bother, because you're probably never going to get it. I still don't get it. So when we go into, how do we make change that will be meaningful and lasting? Well, some of the things that other countries do is they have a certification process. You have to go through this in order to even go on the golf course. Well, that's probably going to be too extreme for our country, but it would be great if we could put some kind of a certification process together that people go through. So, especially women, we feel comfortable. We feel like, hey, I know the rules well enough. I'm not going to embarrass myself. And when I go out there, I know what the heck I'm doing. We're not just throwing them in the deep end of the pool and saying good luck. Okay? So, I think that is one area that I'd love to talk to all of you and see if there's things maybe we can do to put something like that together. I think it would be great business for sure if we had some kind of program. And even if they just did it voluntarily, that would be super. The equity in the clubs, I think we've come a long way, and I think Southern California might almost not be an issue anymore. The gender equity issues, we've really gotten rid of a lot of that. I think we still need to stay on that track, but obviously, we don't have enough female professionals yet. In the industry, I'd say we're probably between 8 and 10% of the workforce in the golf industry. And that's a bummer to me. I think we can do better, and I need all of you to inspire those young girls. We know for sure, there's studies prove between ages 6 and 12, if we don't get females playing golf, we probably never will. There's a pretty good chance we won't. Well, that sucks. That is just a terrible statistic. I hate that. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we are doing things. We have the golf in schools programs now in North Orange County and North San Diego County. We're starting to implement there. There's other golf in schools programs, but those are just so important to everything we're going to do to inspire these kids early, and then take them to the golf course and hand them off to us from there. So if you have any interest in the golf in schools program, please contact me or the section office to get involved with that. But that's one surefire way that we're all going to have more business in the future and get everybody playing. The other, one of my other things, this one is, I grew up in a little town in Nebraska, so I'm pretty much a hick. I grew up on a ranch in South Dakota until I was 10, and then I grew up on a little 9-hole cow pasture in Shadow, Nebraska. You know, it's a mecca for golf, actually. And we loved our golf there. It was awesome, and I grew up thinking you wore jeans, cut-off jeans, short shorts, T-shirts, boots. I even saw that a lot. The guys come off the ranches in their boots. And I didn't even know what a dress code was. I had no clue what a dress code was. And then I got into college and started going to these golf courses and started, now you got to make sure you got long enough shorts, and you got to make sure your shirt has a collar and sleeves. And then, like, really? Wow. You know, God, we all look kind of goofy all dressed alike, but okay. I guess that's what we do, so we do it. And other countries they're very different. Switzerland and that, you'll see a lot of people just rolling in their jeans and you know, whatever. They may not even have a shirt on sometimes. If they get very little sun. You know, they're going to probably trying to get a tan over there. I don't know, but it just means that they don't really get hung up on that kind of stuff, and maybe we shouldn't either. They play a lot of 9 holes of golf. I grew up on 9 holes. I thought it was the perfect amount, and I could just keep going around and around it. And maybe we need to start thinking more along those lines and how we just say, so it's just okay to play 9. You're not a failure if you only want to play 9. I'm a 9-holer. I'm good with that. That's about my attention span anymore. So, but those kinds of things, we've got to make those changes if we want to see our future improve for a lot of golfers and not just females in particular. And then one of the other things that when I'm teaching, or I really, my teaching now goes into snippets of short bursts because I mostly do club fitting these days, but when we have very short time periods to connect with people and to get them on the right track in club fitting, and try to diffuse them of, especially the newer golfers, thinking they've got to, you know, I'm here for my club fitting and I got to hit it far, and I don't even know if I'm going to hit this ball. And a lot of times what I'll talk about is, and I'll take the club out, and I can see they're really nervous, but I'll grab a ball and I'll grab a driver or a club, and I'll just remind them, and I say, now, you just need to not worry about anything. This ball weighs less than an egg, and this club weighs less than a pound. It's not going to take brute strength to make this ball go. Okay, we're going to work together to make that happen. And for some reason, I just think, oh, wow, okay, yeah, who couldn't do that? I mean, it weighs less than an egg. Who couldn't move that somewhere? So a lot of times what we do is to make them feel comfortable, and I use that technique a lot in my club fitting just to get them to relax and say, you know, it's not that hard. And then one of my kitchen drills, you know, my favorite drill in my club fitting, and a lot of times it's just to get them to make a move, is the right hand over the left hand drill and the handshake drill. And we just get them to move into a position of balance. And so for my club fitting, a lot of times it's as simple as diffusing them and then getting them into balance and making sure that we can get at least some kind of contact. Okay? If I can get a little bit of face contact, I can make that person so much better with the clubs I'm going to hand them next. Okay? I don't need much. In fact, I've had people who've never even hit a golf club before come to me and I've fitted for golf clubs. But it could be the single-handed best thing I could ever do for them. And I have seen improvement from 40 handicaps to 24 in a matter of just a few weeks of improvement. Just drastic stuff start to happen. And I know everybody understands club fitting, I'm sure, in this room, and I think sometimes we still don't get the connection and get the instructors connected with the equipment yet. So please work hard to find a good instructor that fits and work hand in hand if you don't have the access to the equipment. But if we really want to see the improvement, the quality and the ability to fit the player to the right equipment is still paramount in our quest to help a golfer be better. So I just can't tell you enough how important that is, and I still see it. One of my frustrations again is, you know, I hear all the time, yeah, I don't fit, I don't have any access to the clubs. And of all the people in the world that should have access, it's us. And so I think, again, we need to change that in our industry and get that back. So I hope that we'll continue to fight for that. And then one of the last things that I remind my new golfers, especially when they're coming for fitting, is they say, I can't hit it far enough, or how far did that go? And I always tell them, if you can hit it 100 yards, you can break 100 statistically. 100 yards, you can break 100. If you can hit it 125, you can break 85. Okay? And at 150, you can literally break 80 if you can hit it 150 yards. So tell me again, why is this a distance game? You know, why is that all we talk about? Why is that the magic pill, the bullet that we always chase after? And we buy into it. Guilty. What did I just tell you? I just want to go out and hit as far as I can. I don't care where it goes. Right? Guilty. Of course, that's why I don't keep score, because I can't try and break 80 right now. So I guess having clear goals and understanding that if we're going to make people better and truly stay in the game, we really have to break some of the myths of, you know, how do you play golf well, and let's maybe not chase the distance drug all the way off the cliff sometimes that we do, because we want to make people happy. I get that. You know, I'm out there on the launch monitor getting them 10 yards, 15 yards, because that's what they're asking me to do. But in the end, I may say, you know, how's your short game? You know, how many putts you having around? You know, I can really make you better. And I ask them, you know, what do you want to do? I want to shoot lower rounds. And I said, well, then let's put the driver away and let's go do something else. Right. And they just look at me like, huh? But, you know, it's the truth. So trying to get to the bottom of that and the truth is so important in what we do. And, you know, the equipment side of things for me has been my life, it's my passion. But it goes hand in hand with the teaching. And so I hope you'll all continue to find that quest for the perfect equipment. And there's so much great stuff still coming. I know that we kind of hit the wall, hit the ceiling a little bit in equipment, but you know, I'm still not done there. I think there's still going to be some major advances, especially in the fitting side, especially fine-tuning equipment for people, the shafts and the heads, and marrying that up to the student. I think we still haven't got there yet, so I'm really excited to see what comes next there. With that, I'm going to go ahead and let these guys have a minute in the sun here and share their stories a little bit. So Juliet, do you want to hit for Lori? Lori, come on up. There you go. Come on up.
Feel free when I'm up there to interject.
Now, Lori, you played 3 years on tour, right?
Yes.
When we were out there? You had David Ledbetter, Mike Adams, Rick Smith as instructors. Lucky dog. Okay. Well, I can't wait. She won't share. I tried to pull this out of her last night. She's going to share with you some of the reasons I think maybe the light bulb came on for you when you started getting some really good instructors and what you learned from them. So I'll let you take it from here.
We'll start with that.
Okay.
I started playing golf when I was 8 and fell in love with it. It is on. Green light show.
Where's the techie?
Do you want me to just take it?
Want to use handheld?
Yeah, let's do that. Oh, that's good. That's on my bucket list.
She'll start doing karaoke.
Okay, that's better. So I started when I was 8 and had 2 older brothers, so I was either going to sink or swim, period. So I was one of the ones that did swim instead of sinking and learning the game of golf. But one of the things that I was so fascinated with later on, when I first met the likes of David Ledbetter and Mike Adams, is that I had reached a level of going to college on a full scholarship, being an All-American, missing the first effort of getting into tour school by one shot. And at that point was when I had my very first really good lesson. It's a long time. I was about 20, 21 years old when I met David Ledbetter. And at that time, he was able to articulate the swing and give it dimension and help me understand a chronological order to how to go about all of my many challenges. When I got to him, I didn't even understand what true good posture was. I was shut at the top. I didn't understand why I hooked it. And I had a reverse pivot, and they called me Gumby when they saw me swing. But luckily, I was a putter at that point. So I really thought that I was getting good lessons. So I say that because the student always thinks it's them. And that brought to my attention that if I'm going to be a teacher, I don't really want the student to ever think it's them. And I don't know if that's a difference between men and women. I know women are very self-critical and very judging of themselves, including the three of us up here. They don't have to just be the student. And maybe that's what infuses us to be empathetic or compassionate, or potentially hear more of what the message of the students' frustrations are. I don't know, but for me, it's a compass or a cornerstone, because I had those bad lessons, and I wasted a lot of money and time, and learned a lot of bad mental behavior because of it. I think a lot of our bad mental on-course behavior is born out of all those really bad swings we made when it really mattered. So I take it as it's really important to me. I grade myself every day on how I'm doing. I mean, how many of you in the room, when you have a student in front of you, and here in California we do a lot of 30-minute lessons. This is unbelievable. You got to be awake and on fire to pull this off. I'm from Texas. Everything's big and long. It was an hour, and in that case you were about to fall asleep, and you were really done with your message about 45 minutes in. But you know, oftentimes somebody comes to my tee and they have a certain amount of the consistency goal that they come with, and then you have to spend that time to figure out what truly is a realistic goal for them. But when you see them swing, sometimes it's very hard to stay still and not be amazed with all the things that you have to deal with, and then quickly put a spin on it and make it come out right. But I'm really concerned in every lesson I teach about how they are interacting with me and how at ease they are with me and how much they're going to trust me. And so obviously that helps me to tailor my message so I can get them to buy in and start to become more comfortable. And you know, I am looking for a long-term fix, but I am looking for results on that day. I've seen a lot of instructors that will look at a student and just start working on the first thing they see. And I know grip posture and setup is important, and it certainly is the first thing I deal with, because it leads to everything else. But so many people have different goals, and if you can just get them to hit it a little bit better and work on impact, or work on closing the face for a female to hit just another 5 yards, things like that are more important to them than them being the next Tiger Woods. So I try to really buy into their needs. So those are some of the lessons that I learned from Mike Adams and David Ledbetter. They just gave me a really good understanding of how to give the student takeaway items, like these are the drills you need to be working on, this is how much you need to be working on, this is what practice should look like. If you're not doing those things, you're wasting both of our times. So one of the things I also enjoy about Juliet, and Juliet and I have had a long-standing friendship, we've taught a lot together, and even though I learned a lot from many great teachers, in the last 5 years I've learned a tremendous amount about how to be even more effective with what I know and your spin and take on the golf swing. Really, it's astounding to me that as much as we all know, it's really cool when we're surprised at when we learn again. And it should be weekly, daily, monthly. And if I'm not feeling like I'm a better teacher at the end of the year, I need to maybe think about selling cards. I don't know. But, so I'm excited for you to hear some things about Juliet and what she's going to share with you. But a couple of things about trying to empathize with women. I mean, we are very critical. I have a couple of things that I want to share about them in the game and how we can maybe infuse them and get them excited, because they have so many responsibilities, or they think they do, before they want to serve themselves. But I try to find, when I started teaching, I recognized pretty quickly that I'm a female, and so all the beginners are gonna come to me. And at first that was a little disheartening, because I had played at a high level, I taught college players, and that was exciting. But I had to find a way with my reality, because that was going to be an income stream. So I decided I was going to be the best that I could be at that. And along the way, I discovered that those simple things that I was forced to come up with in teaching beginners worked seamlessly with intermediates and even with people that play on tour. I even threw a couple of those nuggets out to the gal I work with on tour, Wendy Ward. And sometimes they need something super simple just to soothe them instead of so technical and let them free it up. But what I try to learn is, I wanted to play golf left-handed because I wanted to understand how beginners felt. So I started doing that, and I recognized really quickly how hard it is to be a beginner. And so my number one thing is empathy, not sympathy, empathy. If you have trouble with somebody you're teaching, or you have a person that's difficult and you're not looking forward to it, what I think about is, what am I doing or not doing? Where am I missing the boat in communicating to them, or changing the message, or going at it a different way? Because it really does all come down to communication and different exercises. That's what's so amazing to me and keeps it so fresh every day, is there is just really not one analogy for every golfer. It really doesn't even work for the next one coming up after the one you're with. So it's very ever-changing. And, you know, two things that I wanted to share about women is, and men actually, is there's the large-breasted woman, we know them, we've had them on our team. Has anybody here ever strapped on a pillow and tried to hit balls? Because I have, and it sucks. And the other one is the barrel, belly, chested, or is it the short arm guy? I'm not sure which one. But you can, in one day, you can get some true empathy by putting that pillow in different places on your body to recognize how difficult the game can be. And it's not textbook. You've got to create different ways to approach these people because they're human and they're individuals. And they deserve that from us, and they're hoping for that from us. So that's where it's interesting. The other problem I think we have in all the many things we've tried to keep women involved in our sport is the distance problem. There's going to be a very small percentage of the population that's going to learn how to hit that ball long, okay, and far for women. And when I came to California, I was astounded at how long the ladies' tee is. I usually hit my 7-iron 150 yards, 145 if I hit it thin, and I was hitting a 5-iron in on a couple holes. That's ridiculous. First of all, women have a lot of responsibility and a lot of things to do these days, and golf is not rewarding. Let me ask you another question, men specifically. If you could only hit your driver 150 yards once a week, because you nailed it just one time, and the rest of the time it was shorter, and all the rest of the expensive clubs in your bag went 100 yards, all of them, would you play this game? Hell no. So I'm a huge advocate for coming up with simple common sense solutions. We all, if we're in the industry and we have golf courses out there that are empty at certain times of the day, it's different for different people, different days, different times. We've got to find a way to make women love this sport. We either need to come up with a super ball for them to hit, that they can hit it and keep it up with you, or we need to move the tees up. Newsflash, way up. Okay? When I started at age 8, do you think it would have been fun for me from the ladies' tee? My dad was smarter than that. He made me tee off from the 100-yard marker, and he got to play from his tee, so he had fun too. And there was never a pace of play issue, and I could kick it up to the green at that point in 2 shots. And then I recognized the value of short game real quick. So women don't want to be embarrassed. So the first tee, where the ladies' tee is really the advanced tee. And they'll know when they're ready for that tee. I've talked to many of my students about teeing off at the 100-yard marker, and there's this whole level of tension that comes off them. They're so thrilled that they don't have to stand there and have everybody's eyes on them when they're not ready for it. And makes the whole course shorter, faster. They're not hitting as many shots. So I'm a huge advocate in teeing it way forward. You don't even have to tee up there. I mean, you can just color code a simple little 100 yards. If you can get it to the green on average within 2 shots, you can go to the 150. And then you graduate from the 150 if you get it to the green in 2 shots to the 200. They're going to be ready. I think we also, I'm taking your time. How do you feel?
No, fine. I'm not gonna get a cup of coffee.
The other thing that we talked about is the expense of the game. It's just women are toe dippers. They're not gonna dive in unless it's like a Kenneth Cole bag or something that's gonna work for their accessories, for their outfits. But they're not gonna buy a bunch of clubs and not enjoy the game and not know that they can play it. So if we have implemented maybe a grassroots effort of starting at the 100, you only need a putter, a pitching wedge, and an 8-iron. Boom, that's not too hard. We've done that before, but we've made them tee off from the, English Channel back there. So let's move it forward and make it easy. Let's give them no reason to say no. Then if they graduate to the 150, we can let them buy and graduate onto, who's that?
It's coming.
Okay. I just put together kind of a rudimentary scorecard that it kind of explains to each of the beginners. Maybe we charge them less because they're not going to hold us up. They can go out and play with people that want to hit it from their regular tees and they tee off at the 100 or the 150. But it gives them goals. They need a goal system. And I think we've just been throwing them out there and, hoping they'd survive. And they just can't. It's too difficult. They don't hit it far enough to survive. I wouldn't play the game if it took me 5 and 6 shots and everybody was watching me too. I just absolutely wouldn't. And so just quickly explaining to them that there's a B1, B2, B3 method of graduation, and you start at the 100-yard marker for B1. If you reach the green on an average 2 times, and you're not keeping score, it's only the number of times you hit to reach the green. So I guess pitching's included in that. And then over here on another level, you're talking about par on the green. So they're learning a little bit about, the mechanics of the stats and understanding what part of their game they need to get better at. And it certainly helps us as an instructor know, because most of your students don't evaluate themselves very well. So Juliet had talked about just keeping it simple with the clubs that we do have for them to purchase. They can buy a full set if they want, but most people want to know if they're going to love it or hate it. And so the small 179 hybrid after you've graduated into the 150 club, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Maybe they don't need that driver until they get to the 200. And by then, I think we have them hooked. And that's all we need, because everybody in this room wins when they're hooked. Yeah. All of us do. Express golf was another thing. Women do not need 2 and 3 hour things to find out if they're interested. They like a little wine, and they like a little golf. 3-hole golf, 1 hour outings in the evening, followed by food. There's more that I'm going to say, but I'm going to let Juliet jump up.
Okay. Up here. Okay, so this process up here took about 2 bottles of wine. Okay. Seriously, we take this so seriously. This is what we do for a living. We take it seriously every day. We go, at least we do. Lori and I bounce lessons off each other all the time. So we actually grade ourselves on what kind of lesson did I do today? What kind of lesson day did I have? Birdied it, eagled it. A par is like a triple bogey to us. So we are so invested in every single lesson that we give. And if we're talking about the difference between men and women, and I'm not down in any dudes here, okay, for sure. I love you. But if I'm on the lesson tee and I'm hearing somebody and watching their posture of one of my
lovely counterparts that happen to be a male that's teaching. I see the hands in the pocket, I see this, I see them back away, but I don't see enough involvement. Are we better than the male counterpart? No, but there are fantastic teachers out here. All of you are probably fantastic teachers. But what we want to do is maybe make you think a little bit differently about how you're connecting with your students. Because the female has to have a connection. We thrive on connection. We need connection. We have to have it. How many are married, gentlemen? Okay. How many of you think your wife spends money freely? Come on, be honest. Don't lie. Well, they ain't spending it on golf, right? They are not spending it on golf. Women do not like to spend money on golf. And to Lori's point, Susan's point, is it's too darn expensive. We're setting them up to fail. So why is, what was the stat, bowling and tennis? 40% in other countries? Why are women flocking to that? Well, you don't have to buy a bowling ball. It's there. You can even rent shoes. They're kind of cute. I think. Okay? They're available. Tennis balls, $3. Tennis racket. Oh, by the way, I can use my husband's tennis racket. Right? 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 Come on, people.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So, what if we just take a very simple, 3-club approach or 4-club approach and say, hey, I'm going to give these to you for a month. As long as you keep practicing, I'm going to give these to you for a month. Return them. Can the club do it very easily? Absolutely. Why do our rentals are so darn expensive. And men don't mind spending the money as much as women do, I think. Okay, so we have we're making it too difficult for lengthwise, and then we make it too expensive. I don't have all the answers, but let's just think about this a little bit. Okay, so can everybody see this shoe right here?
Yep.
I forgot my pumps. I was going to ask you to bring a pump, but this is probably a better illustration of. Right? Did you see what it was sitting on? It was sitting on a T.
Yeah.
So what this is supposed to look like, and I pushed it over on purpose, is how women walk around in pumps. Who the hell thought of that? Who the hell thought of that? I sprained my ankle doing that several times. I was play basketball, but seriously, the point to the pumps. And try walking in somebody's pumps. If you're married, you're doing it anyway in the closet anyway. You're trying on your stuff. Or going. But just go ahead and think about walking on your tiptoes all over for about 6 hours. Why do we do this? Because we care about what we look like. We care about our appearance. We care what you guys think. I don't know who set that up, but we care about what you think. So bringing this back to golf, is men come to the game, to our lesson team. By the way, my entire career I've taught about 90% guys, about 10% women. We'll get into that in a second. This year that's changed because I changed facilities. But the men come to the practice tee, or they come to learn golf because they have a passion for competitiveness. They have a passion for maybe the game of golf, but they have a passion for sports. Women come to the tee with a passion to connect. They are there to connect. So it's our job as teachers to find out what their motivation is to being there. Because it's going to vary an awful lot. I'm tired of being the only one that is putting together part of a business outing, and I'm in charge of drinks. Or I want to be a player in this. So it's about being part of that social atmosphere. Or I'm going to play because my husband plays and we travel a lot, and I'd like to actually be able to partake in this instead of going to the spa. Whatever. All of these reasons are for someone else. It's not really internal. So when we are critical of them, because they're not going to swing perfectly, are they? It's very, very difficult to keep their self-esteem high and be critical at the same time. So I think that's why women like group lessons so much, is because my eye or all of our eyes aren't on that person for that half hour or that hour. They'll like, we've got 4 in a group, and okay, I want you to work on this, and I want you to work on this. This gal's going, whoo, I'm glad she's not watching me. Gosh, now I can fail by myself. But that's what golf is, learning how to fail graciously. Right? Right? People, hey,
Right.
we do this for a living, come on, right?
Yeah.
So, do we have, as far as teaching, do we teach men and women differently? Yeah, our approach has to be a little bit different. Okay, let's be really honest now. Okay, is my boss in here? I think, Sean, sweet.
There-
Oh, hi.
there it is.
Okay, I want to be really honest. Who likes teaching men more than women? Shut up. Yeah. Really?
Really?
I won't call on you if you raise your hand. Okay, so is this something that's developed over time? Why?
How attractive is the woman?
Love it.
You guys hear that in the back?
Yeah. Okay.
How attractive is the woman, he said.
Just kidding.
No, you're not. That's okay. So I'm going to be honest. I like teaching men better than I like teaching women. I don't dislike teaching women, but I'm a very competitive person. I play lots of sports at a high level. I like somebody to get in there and grind. I like somebody that I can be direct with. I like somebody that's not going to cry if I tell them what to do. Right? And I'm serious. And structurally, men want the facts, and they love to look at the video, and we're grinding on this, and I know they're going to practice. Women, on the other hand, do not have the time that men have. They don't make the time for themselves to practice.
Right.
And as Lori was saying earlier, we have to find a way to tap into their dopamine dump from their pleasure center. Okay, guys, we hit a great long drive, and boo, there is a dump from your pleasure center. You know what dopamine is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. It keeps us coming back, right? So we know how to reach the men's pleasure center. Women's more like dark chocolate. A sandbag, dark chocolate. But if you can convince a woman that once she does compress the wall, she's going to get a little bit of dark chocolate in that, she's going to dig it. So we have to find different ways of communicating on what the rewards of this is going to be if you actually put the time into it. There are other factors that, men have been athletic, and huge generalization, and a lot of women haven't been. Sometimes this is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. So there are innate moves that you've learned since you were a young child that you will carry forth through every sport you play. And sometimes a gal or a guy will say, why is it so easy for that guy to get to his left side? And why am I still hanging back here? Well, it could be as easy as, for me, this move into my left side, easy, 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 easy. Natural as can be. Great for golf. Played softball many, many years, AAA. And I wanted to be a power hitter so badly I couldn't stand it. But I couldn't, because I couldn't hang back and post on that back foot. It was not an innate move for me. So what we have to recognize, and I'm sure lots of people talk about this, there's lots of books on this, and biomechanics, and TPI goes into this quite a bit. What is an innate move? For men, they're gonna sense and feel this. But we can relate this to I played a lot of sports, so that's why I teach more men. I can tell a story. I can tell a story about how my weight shift in throwing a baseball gives momentum to my hips, which gives momentum to my chest, and if I'm not squeezing the heck out of the baseball, my elbow's going to follow, and then I'm going to have a nice release. And you wouldn't throw a baseball with a tight wrist, right? So in relating to a golf swing. So I can relate to men very, very easily, but I'm also a woman, so I have an advantage here. So men, if you want to create an atmosphere of understanding with women, see if you can crash a baby shower. You know, see if you can find some. Could you imagine going to a baby shower? You know, read a People magazine. Do something that you can have an opportunity to make this female feel really comfortable and that you can relate to her. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that, but you know, use your imagination, something. But
I think we were talking about a mentorship and maybe finding female.
oh yeah, we were talking, it was probably 7:01, but we were talking about Lori and I have a great opportunity often to bounce lessons back and forth. What would you do in this situation? This is how we learn. So I would urge you all to find a female counterpart or male counterpart and kind of bounce things off of each other. And how would you communicate that? It's a wonderfully rich experience. Wonderfully rich. And gosh, that's full room. You can just bear up right now if you want to. It's fantastic. So, and then we have to rate ourselves. Don't make it about the student. We go back into the pro shop and we hear, God, that guy was awful. He wasn't listening. When is he going to get that? You know, such and such and such. Let's take some ownership here, right? Let's take some ownership and say, wow, I know 399 ways to say that same thing. I guess I need that 400, you know, coming in. So we make a lot of money at what we do for what we do. And we need to really take responsibility in that. And I'm sure you do. I'm probably preaching to the choir. I'm sure that you do. But if we're not learning every day, we're doing an injustice to not only our industry, but to everyone we teach. And the last thing that I want to bring up while I've got your attention, and I might not make any friends here by saying this, but we as teachers have our teacher observations that we do. We get credits for it and such. Well, I've done that for many years and shared, you know, our knowledge and such. Then I got thinking, wow, this isn't student-based at all. My student's paying for a lesson right now, and I got somebody else looking over my shoulder here. So I said, hold off on this teacher observation thing, and I want to make sure that it's okay with my students now. And so at that point it was 90% men, and I asked probably the whole weekend about 16, 17 students, whatever it was, would you, yes or no, would it bother you to have somebody that's observing me, not you, observing me, in this lesson? And after some humming and hawing, every single one of them said, well, yeah, it bothered me. Ethically wrong, people. We cannot do this. We cannot do this. It's wrong. That student is paying for an experience, and actually, they have a hard time even teeing it up in front of us sometimes, right? So the guys, the girls were absolutely don't. I don't even want to swing in front of my husband. But the men saying that was very, very telling. And so I just said, no. Oh, yeah, sorry, but no. So what's the solution to that? The solution is a much better solution. Why don't we take a seasoned professional, teaching professional, somebody that's halfway through the program, and somebody that's new in the program. And we've got these three. One's taking the lesson, one's teaching the lesson, and one's the observer. Then switch places. And so all three are taking all three spots. And then you go over and you can really communicate. You can really talk about these issues and your communication styles and develop communication styles. Make sense? Yes?
Yeah.
No? Do you think your students would have the same answer as mine? Isn't it interesting what we're conditioned to? So I lied, I have one more story. I work at an amazing facility. I'm very fortunate. I've been very lucky in my career to have run into fantastic people along the way. And by the way, I've worked my butt off. I've worked my butt off. I paid for all of my lessons. After I went through LPGA teaching school, I wanted to be the best teacher I could be. So that's why I sought out John Solomon and Butch Harmon. I wanted to be the best teacher I could be. I would have taken for a million other people as well, but I didn't have the money. But I took that knowledge, or I gained that knowledge because I knew that I was a woman in a field of men that just like any other industry, I would have to work twice as hard, be twice as good to be equal. Seriously, twice as good. It's the truth, guys. It's the truth. You guys are kind of lucky you have testosterone. You guys are lucky to be guys because you're already good. In the eyes of everybody. But it's all good. It's all good. Enjoy it. Celebrate it. Fine. But there you go. Pound your chest. But I've been doing this for a long time. Again, so I'm going to give you an example of something that happened at my work. And again, I work at an amazing facility, the Grand in Del Mar. I have an amazing boss who's a fantastic teacher in his own right, which is a blessing in itself because he understands teaching. He's very supportive. And he's given me the opportunity to teach there. And we've got the range set up. And I teach on the line next to a very seasoned PGA member. And he's phenomenal. And I've been there about 15 months. Every morning I'm there, probably 8, 9 o'clock. I start early. Put in all my time. My counterpart comes in, you know, whatever he wants to. That's fine. And we had been given signs that have our names on it. And so we have our little spots. Fantastic. Really nice. Well, his sign is always set up in the morning, and the Den Caddy balls. Everything's set up nice and neat. And he's not there yet, but I come in, and the range assistant says, "Hey, where do you want to set up today, Juliet?" Well, same thing I tell you every day. Really? Anywhere on the range is fine, but just not so close to the other lesson tee to where we'll be, you know, disrupting each other. Oh, okay. All right, so, yeah, okay. So I go over and I grab my sign. I go over and I grab the Den Caddy. And I move things around. He comes back over and he says, "Is everything all right? Or will this do for you?" I go, "No, I set myself up where I didn't want to be." Of course it's all right. And I said, "And this guy's awesome. I love this guy. He's going through the program. He's been totally professional, so nice. I love him. We've got a bunch of brothers there. But he's conditioned to not think of me with the same respect as the other male counterparts." And I say that because I actually finally had the balls to say something. Excuse me. Right? I wanted to wait a whole year before stepping in on any toes because I have a tendency to do that because I speak my mind. Shocker, but so I said, "Hey," and I won't mention any names, I said, "Do you know what I'm speaking on this week at the PGA teaching some?" "No." So I tell him. He goes, "Wow, cool." And I said, and this is a really good example of the inequality. Why am I not set up? And he goes, "Oh my gosh, you're right. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to disrespect you. You're awesome. I hear you teach every day. You're phenomenal." Well, you don't need to be, you know, sorry. You know, now I'm thinking about his feelings, because that's what we do. But he said, "Wow, I didn't even think of it." But this is how we need to change the way we think a little bit, is we are conditioned. We're conditioned to do everything every day of our lives. So if we are changing Anyway, the very next day I came in and it was
It's all
set up
set up.
perfectly. And so that spread like wildfire. And it wasn't an intentional thing. He wasn't mad that I was a female on the premises at all. It was just the way it was conditioned to think. So that's all fine and good. But then I thought, gosh, if I am challenged to have respect in this industry, how do these ladies feel trying to come into this game? Right? So just something to think about. So, thank you. I'll stop.
Thanks to you both for that. You know, again, now I'm already feeling bad. Can you believe that? I'm feeling bad. You know, I love you all. I stood side by side with you guys in this PGA. I have been so embraced by the PGA men and women, and this is in no disrespect to anybody in our industry, ever.
Not at all.
And I'm already taking it on, and I know you're already doing the same, but
Don't apologize.
I'm not gonna apologize. I just wanna make sure that the women in the industry and the women that come to play this great game, and all golfers, are never felt to be invisible. And I had almost an equal experience this last weekend at the San Diego Cup matches, which I had helped put together again, and it was really a tough year because of some of the sponsorships, and we got it all together, and we made it all happen, and we're sitting in a room together, and the next, they're getting ready to do all the announcements, and I'm so excited. We got the top professionals and top bands ready to go play, and it's a great day. And again, I'm the only female in the room other than one of the servers. And the person that was running the event again, who I love dearly, he's an amazing man, and they started to get up, and they were going to move the announcements into the locker room, the men's locker room.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, I guess I should go now, because I've just basically been told that my presence is not going to need to be here anymore. And one of the sponsors jumped out of his seat and ran to the front of the room and started the announcements just to save the day on that one. But again, it's not intentional, but we really have to pay attention to our culture, and where we go from here it's just brutally important. I don't want to be in the category of ice hockey and paintball and martial arts, okay guys and girls? Let's move this forward. Let's change how we do things. And it's so subtle sometimes we don't even know we do it. When we look at, hello, Mr. So-and-so, he's a buddy of yours, and you miss looking right over to his wife or vice versa. Let's just make sure that the equal amount of time and energy spent on every person that walks in our shop. And I think that's really what we were here today, to maybe spread some of our stories, some of the things we still see, because we're really the messengers, and we have to now go out. We're the troops in the trenches to make the change happen. And I see so many of my friends, LPGA, PGA in this room. I wanted to mention on the LPGA side, because all of us here on the panel here are also LPGA members, the LPGA put together a new program that's just launching. They put it out yesterday. It's called Teaching Her. It's an online program. It's a 4-hour online program that they put together on more of an insight to teaching women. I was thrilled.
And understanding too.
Really, yeah. And you can go to the LPGA website, Teaching Her, and read all about that. And there's a great video on it that tells you everything about it. And it was great to see so many of you love teaching women. That is awesome, by the way. Yay. Awesome. Then the other great news, I'm sure you saw it last month, it looks like the RNA is going to let women in. Yes! Nice. We're making great progress. And I know it's 2014, and sometimes I wonder, how can it be 2014 and we're just getting stuff done, but we just gotta keep working hard. And thanks for listening to our stories. It's very humbling and scary, to be honest, to be up here in front of all of you, because you're all so awesome. And I really sometimes don't know why Bill asked me to do this, honestly, but I just have so much fun and being a part of the PGA and the section board and being on those committees. And I hope that you will all get involved. Step up, if you're interested, just let us know. We'll get you on a committee and we'll get you going. I know sometimes you think it's maybe a small group of people that just control it, but it's really not. I mean, they let me in, for God's sake. Come on. Right? Let me in. So please get involved. That's how we move our organization forward and our culture. And let's get to 50%. Let's outdo all these other countries and make sure we got equal parts men and women and whoever else wants to play this great game, please invite them and let's get going. You know, the disability side of things, I know there's so many people that want to play. I have a friend who's a blind golfer. My God, you know, now that's challenging. Try doing that, and I just know there's so many areas that there's opportunity for us all. So thank you for having us, and I'll turn it back over to Bill.